Hello, everybody, and welcome to Richard Lloyd's channel. I am Richard Lloyd, and I'm going to introduce everyone that's here. So we have Miles October.
Nope,
Is he
there
around?
we go. Just being eaten by a slug momentarily. Yep, I'm
Yeah,
here.
so this is Miles. His birthday's in October, so it's Miles
It
October.
yeah, and I'm nearly as good looking as Ricky September. Not quite there.
Some would say more. I would say
Some would
more.
say
But,
more. Some would say more. They'd be
yeah.
wrong, but yeah.
Next up, we have Richard Jellybean.
Nice.
It's
You're
he
gonna,
with
Look
yeah,
at it. He's doing the dance and everything.
yeah. Actually, I do a pub quiz and I put the music on at half time. Itsy bitsy polka dot bikini. And some of the people are like, what is this? What have you put on? Uh, and next up, we have Josh. Sorry, I couldn't think of a name for you, Josh. Josh Badger
Everyone
or
else
something.
gets a name.
Everyone else
except
got a
me.
name.
Sorry.
Just because I wasn't here last week, you don't need to hold this against me now, please.
All right, Josh.
Um,
Josh, 73 yards. There we are.
Careful,
there we
Josh. You
go.
get blocked. You'll get blocked if you're not careful.
Can I just
So
say as
welcome.
well,
we're doing this,
I wasn't here last week. I really enjoyed 73 yards. It was great, so I do not mind being named after that.
But what did you think?
That's good.
What did you think about the untitles, Josh?
You know what? I loved it. I genuinely loved it. Because as soon as the opening titles didn't happen, you had the title card and you had the names. I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is something very, because instantly it set the tone of like, this is a horror film. And it instantly got me hooked. My jaw was actually on the floor. It really got me intrigued straight away. So for me, it works. I enjoyed it. I'm guessing
You did a Wild Blue Yonder.
you were eye to eye on that.
The jaw. Amazing.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, I did become one of the not fans.
Cool. So welcome to this video. Today we're going to be discussing Dot and Bubble, which is the 5th episode of season 1. Is it season 1? Yeah.
Season 14.
Season 14, whatever it is.
Series
yeah.
14. Oh, whatever.
Series
Yeah.
14. Yeah.
I broke your flow
Um,
there, Pete. Carry on.
You're professional here, you know.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt the flow. First of all, just before we start, it might be worth mentioning William Russell. Obviously, he's a big Doctor Who actor who's just recently passed away. It's very sad.
Yeah. Mhm.
Anybody got anything to say about that, or are we?
Raise a toast to
Raise a toast.
London 1960, 1965.
Mhm.
Oh, come on, Pete.
I haven't got a drink, sorry.
I've got one even. Oh, hold on.
You raise a sonic screwdriver.
Got a mug.
I don't know.
There we go. Lovely.
Yeah.
This is water.
But it was very sad. It would have been nice for him to get to the big 100, but anyway.
Yeah, 99
got
and
so
a half.
close.
It's
Got
so,
so
close.
close.
So close.
What a
Yeah.
journey. What a life. And what an amazing
Mm.
career as well.
And what a
Yeah.
legacy he's left behind as well.
hmm Yeah,
And he set the
exactly.
template for all the future companions, didn't he, really? They all kind of followed, certainly the male ones, all followed him.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. There's a lot to thank that original TARDIS team for. Yeah. So here's to you, Russ. Is that what people used to call him? Russ?
Yeah.
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 Oh, Siri's now asking me who Russ is. I'm not talking to you.
Is Siri doing a tribute?
Siri was offering their own tribute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on it's my dot malfunctioning. I think.
Hmm.
Dot and Bubble.
Gonna kill
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's got a lot
So
of
this
reasons to
thing-
hate me.
Just very briefly, just mention me and Richard went to Devil's End.
We
If
did.
Richard wants to elaborate on that, it's his channel. I'll let him do it now.
We went
much
to Devil's
pressure.
End, yeah. Oldbourne, the location used in the Demons, so it was good fun. We spent a couple of days there. The weather was nice. Pete was dressed up as Bok. Another guy was dressed up as Azal. So that was all great fun. And we saw various people. Yeah, we saw John Levine.
Yeah, I
It's all
knew that was
great.
gonna be top of your list.
We saw John Levine. Katie Manning, and yeah, a few other people as well.
Aw,
It was good fun.
happy days.
What
And-
did,
Happy
what
times
did
and
Katie
places.
Manning say? I think Katie Manning said to me, it's a good thing your leotard isn't as baggy as the original one, or something.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Miss
She didn't
Krantz,
say that to me. No,
please.
she didn't say that to me. But
I don't know if that, yeah, I don't know if it's a compliment or an insult, but yeah. But no, we had a good weekend.
yeah,
And
And you
we
watched
enjoyed
Dot
it.
and Bubble while you were there.
We watched
I'm
Dot and
guessing.
Bubble. We did,
Mm.
yeah.
We did.
Did you
It
watch
would
it
have been nice
together?
to watch. Yeah, it would have been
We
nice
did,
to watch
yeah, we did.
73 yards, wouldn't it? I think in that village.
Yeah, exactly.
With the
But,
pub and
uh,
everything, you know, the cloven
yeah.
hoof instead of
Yeah.
whatever it was
Yeah.
in 73 yards. What was it called?
It translated as the dead wood or the dead tree or something.
Dead. That's
I
it.
couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what it actually is in Welsh.
Cool.
We
But
need to
yes,
learn
yeah,
we
that.
watched Dot and Bubble, didn't we?
Long
Yeah.
question in the future. Come on.
What did you say, Josh?
That's going to be a quiz of Rassilon question in the future.
That will be
We need to
exactly.
get
Yeah,
That's.
that.
I just
learn
as soon
it.
as I said
Brush
it,
up
I
on
was like,
knowledge.
that's going to be a quiz question somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, we walked to the
Amazing.
hump as well, didn't we, Richard? As well.
We walked to the hump. We did, yeah.
Sorry. My brain.
Yeah, we did. We saw that. And then we walked
That
back.
was nice.
Yeah.
Nice hill in the middle of
No,
nowhere.
no BBC Three presenters in sight or anything like that, or TV equipment or anything. No, it was all
No
gone.
box in sight.
No bark, not by
No
that
white
point.
witches.
No, he disappeared.
Damn it.
Gone somewhere. Yeah. But
So, Dot
yeah.
and Bubble.
Dot and Bubble. I was going to say we watched it. We watched it in quite nice circumstances in the end, didn't we?
Yeah.
Some nice.
Did you watch with other fans, or was
things,
it just the two of you?
No, just the two of us. But yeah, we made it work. Kind of nice little TV. Well, a big TV screen that we saw it on. So that was nice.
And then we,
In
we
Ultra
did turn the
HD as
lights
well, I
off, didn't we?
believe.
Yeah.
No.
No, we got told
Yeah.
if you watch Doctor Who in my B&B, make sure you turn the lights off when you come up to
Yeah.
bed. Forgot to turn the lights off.
Well,
so
we turned
Oh.
the hallway or the landing lights. We left it on, but
Amazing.
What a lovely, cozy picture you're painting for us.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing.
But she let us because we were staying in a B&B where there was a baby as well, so we thought we don't want to wake the baby up with Doctor Who. So we asked the B&B
Exactly
owner
what you
if we could watch it downstairs. And she said, "Yeah, come through here. We've got a dining room which we don't normally let people into." And it was a massive TV and two comfy sofas, and it was like, wow.
Nice.
yeah, that'll do.
That luxury. Amazing. Love that.
Mm.
What a good way to experience it for the first time.
I always
Yeah,
think as well,
so,
like we'll always remember where we first watched it. We'll always think about this episode and think about Oldbourne. And I've
Yes.
always lived.
And I was
Yeah.
saying to you before, wasn't I, that in a way, Don Bubble beforehand seemed like the least interesting thing happening that day / weekend. Kind of
Yeah.
forgotten it was on almost.
Well, I kind of went
Kinda.
home and kind of felt like I hadn't watched it. People were talking about it on podcasts,
Okay,
and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, I think I've watched this." Yeah,
Mm.
Mm.
it was interesting.
Should
I'll
we
be the
go in
first to be
alphabetical
told.
order?
If we, yeah,
okay,
should we all just gradually disappear?
Who would be left at the end? Would it be? I can't think of everyone's surnames. Would it be Miles?
T. S. C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Unless he has a secret.
Damn it. Sorry,
other-
Richard. I'll
other
have to end it.
surname. Well, yeah, unless. Oh, yeah.
My
Yeah.
surname is Coombs. No.
So
Yeah.
before I vanish, before the slugs come for me, someone can edit this in, so I'm dragged by a slug. I thought the episode was good. I've watched it twice now, so obviously I watched it with Richard in the B&B, and then it was quite quiet in the B&B, so I kind of rewatched it again when I got home with a friend who hadn't seen it. Thought it was okay. It was probably better than I was expecting, but I think my expectations were quite low. It was nice having some proper monsters back in Doctor Who. Thought Millie and Ncuti were good. Thought the kind of social commentary about how all the actors in it were white was quite interesting, and not something I picked up on until the end. But yeah, that's kind of it really. I've not watched Unleashed yet, so I can't really tell you much about this story. But it's I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Blocked.
Right, am I gone? Okay. I'll probably give it a 6, 7, 6. Yeah.
Sure.
It's okay.
Nice.
Probably, if I was to put it in the series, 73 yards is the best. Then
Babies.
probably Boom, then this one, and the first two, probably.
Nice.
But yeah,
Good.
but it was okay. It was interesting, and the acting was good, and it was a unique concept, which I think I'm glad they tried out. I think,
Wait, get rid of him, Richard. He's not on our close friends list. Get rid of him now. Go.
and they filmed it at Swansea Uni. I know that.
They did, yeah.
Perfect.
Right. Goodbye. Ready
See you
to
later.
press leave. See
He
ya.
got
Bye.
man trapped. Is he
Hello.
gone?
Got my trapped.
He's gone.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. So I don't know how to follow that. Who was next alphabetically? Oh, was it me?
It's you.
It's me.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay.
It's you. Richard
Um,
Jellybean.
Richard Jellybean, whatever the heck I was. Yeah.
Siri again. Siri just said to me, "I couldn't find Richard Jellybean in your Apple Music." Yeah, it's surprising that, isn't it? Sorry,
Um,
continue.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, like Pete, better than I was expecting actually. Beforehand, I'd seen a lot of like negativity from people. I wasn't really sure why actually. Well, I could sort of see like I think people were kind of thinking, oh, it looks a bit like Scene
Cringe.
24 or cheap or cringe or whatever or that kind of thing. Um, yeah, it kind of it got better I think as it went along. The opening was kind of it felt very different I think to like a normal Doctor Who story. So that took a bit of getting used to. But then once the Doctor appears and the slugs and everything, and it actually gets quite tense. Like when there's all the stuff where Lindy is having to walk and she can't see where she's going technically and all that kind of stuff, and she doesn't know where she's going and what she's doing. And when she kept saying like, "Oh, dot and bubble" to trigger the bubble again, it was kind of like one of those "Are you my mummy" type phrases, or it kind of had that same sort of thing to it. And saying that phrase and that tense scenario, and it kind of all who turned out the lights, that kind of thing. It kind of all yeah, it worked quite nicely, that kind of stuff, I think. The ending was phenomenal. I don't know, not on the same level as the previous two for me, but I suspect maybe for one of us that might be different.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested to know who you think liked it more out of me and Josh.
Mm.
I
I thought
wonder.
our next alphabetical surname, quite like this
Mhm.
one. Am I right in thinking that?
I
Here's
thought it
this
was great.
one. Yeah.
I
There you
loved
go.
it. Um, I think again because I wasn't here last week, so I'll briefly talk about 73 yards. I think this run of stories from Boom to here has been proper like it's felt like a proper mature Doctor Who that goes out at midnight. It's felt kind of wilderness yearsy in a way because I've seen people complain online that it's been a bit too bleak, but I think it's been really good, and I think that Space Babies in retrospect is not at all representative of the rest of the season so far.
Mm,
I think it's been a much higher standard to that opener and
yeah.
dealt with a lot more serious and richer themes than that. I thought it was great, and there is like comparisons that you can draw to like Nosedive from Black Mirror and like the social commentary of being trapped in your own literal social media, unaware of atrocities happening around them in the real world. It's not at all subtle, but I thought it really worked. And yeah, I was a massive fan of this episode. And I think that the season has gone really well so far. It's another hit.
Hmm. I agree. I think it was funny actually seeing on social media how people had decided that they were going to hate this episode before it had come out. Like you were saying, like the clips, um, it just people just had a very adverse reaction to it. People being like, "Yeah, I'm not going to like this one," and it was so interesting seeing it. Kind of, I feel like people really did do a 180 on it because I've seen a lot more people who liked it than didn't. Um, but yeah, I totally agree. I think it was fantastic. I watched it again today, um, and yeah, I just think it's great. It's just a great, gripping story. It's got a horrible, detestable human being at its center, but played so well. And I mean, Callie Cook is so captivating to watch. It's one of those characters that um, you're just sort of transfixed by how awful they are as a person, and you're kind of it's a car crash. It's like you just can't help but watch this horrific stuff that's going on, and yeah, it was a really great adventure. Um, all those other layers to it, which are definitely, you know, are a bit more overt than they perhaps have been in other stories. But I think there's still a level of other things that you can read into it, and that's what I really liked about things like 73 Yards and sort of about Boom as well, is that there's the surface level stuff, but there's a lot of other elements that people have read into it and added their own interpretations. And I think that's great telly, because if it provokes those discussions, and if it provokes those things in your brain to be like, oh, maybe it's because of this, I think that's a mark of a great piece of entertainment. So yeah, if anything, Dot and Bubble got us talking, and I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I liked it. I really liked it. Yeah, it was a big thumbs up from me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't know where we really take it from there. It was good.
I want to quickly say as well, because in regards to like 73 yards last week, a lot of people were saying, well, why wasn't this explained and this explained, and who was the woman? Why was she there? I think that ambiguity is important in the telling of the story, and it adds like another worldliness. And as you say, you can give your own interpretation of what it is. So I don't mind. I like ambiguity in Doctor Who. I don't think everything needs to be explained, and so just thought I would say that, because that's
there's a different. It's like the mechanics of the plot. We need to be explained, but when it comes to like you were saying with 73 Yards, the more I watched it, the more I was like, I honestly think this plays into it, the fact that we haven't had these things explained. So yeah, Dot and Bubble in comparison, I would say, is a lot more kind of it's kind of there on the screen, but
literally,
like I was saying, there's literally, like, there we go, in the bubble. Wouldn't it be great to have a VR version of this episode where you're in the bubble for the whole thing? And you are Lindy, you are the
like
racist,
a
you are Lindy
computer game or something. Well,
maybe not. I think that it's kind of done a similar thing in that it's kind of gone, here's these issues with social media and racism and all, and it's provoking those discussions and debates, and I think Russell is good at that. He's good at sort of making telly that people just want to chat about. Because I got, just as with 73 Yards, I got loads of people messaging saying, you know, oh, that was interesting. This is what I thought of it. The last two episodes have really provoked those discussions, which is fab. You know, that's just great. And yet it's still, it's very untypical Doctor Who, and yet we've got that fantastic classic Doctor Who monster in the man traps, which I don't know. I think the name is cool, but I would have liked another alien name to add to it as well.
Were they actually named on screen? I know they're called the man traps in Unleashed, but I don't remember them being.
I don't think there's anyone. No, I
No.
think they're just called. Are they just called monsters in the program, or just the things, or?
Yeah,
No.
something like that. It's weird,
Yeah.
actually. I was going to say, you've reminded me now. So there was a thing, and we mentioned it in our video, Miles, way back when we were going through all the Doctor Who magazine tidbits and things, about a monster from Block 1, which is this 73 Yards, referencing two old monsters from the 4th and 7th Doctor's eras.
You're right. I totally
And to
forgot
this
about
day,
this.
I've got no idea. No idea what that was
It
a
must
reference
have
to.
been. It must have been a cut. There must have been a line cut somewhere.
And
or
because
maybe
there was
they just
also
thought,
some concept art that leaked months ago as well, and it was like one of them was for the slugs, and it said gastronaut on it. So
Yes,
I'm
I
thinking,
remember
was
that.
that just like either a working name or just like something to lead people off the scent, a kind of code name? But there were two others as well. There was like one for a worm type thing called a jar worm, and one for like a little I don't know, kind of like rodenty type thing, I suppose, called a Hargaven. And I've got
I
no
remember.
idea
Yeah, now you're
how that
mentioning,
would
I
have,
remember
how that would
these
have fit
things,
into either this or last week. But
Yeah.
I don't know. If anyone has
That
any
is
thoughts on
very
that,
strange.
write in.
I guess they could have been fake leaks. I mean, I remember
could
when
have been
everyone
fake, couldn't
thought
they?
that Doctor Who was going to be in Fortnite for ages, and were convinced it was a real thing, and then that turned out to be a ruse. But I do
Yeah,
remember
I'd
that.
thought about that as well myself, because obviously the slug one would appear to be real, but under probably a fake name or a working name. Maybe the other two were either from a different show or different project, or maybe they were just like completely fake to literally
Yeah,
put people off the scent.
very
Mm.
strange.
That's
Or
quite
maybe they're
Yeah.
interesting.
yet to come in the season.
Maybe they're yet to come. That's true.
Hmm.
Yeah, who
Hmm.
knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really yeah. I totally forgot about that tidbit from Scott Hancock saying, oh, there's a reference to a fourth and seventh Doctor villain in Block One,
Mm.
and there isn't. Well, there isn't that we've seen. It's not
Yeah.
obvious.
Mm.
Um, yeah, unless the lady in 73 yards is Fenric or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yeah. There's no link I can see, but who knows? Maybe it'll become
Who
apparent
knows?
later down the line. Very
Maybe.
weird.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole stuff about bubbles, I think we were kind of predicting early on as well, weren't we, Richard, when we were talking about these
Oh
these
yeah.
theories? Or were we
You'd
I
got a
think I think
lot
I
of.
said something about AI or something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to go and check exactly what you said, but from memory, you were pretty much spot on very early on. I mean, not
Hmm.
exactly with the bubbles and everything and how it looked, I don't think, but
Yeah, but the
you
kind
said
of
there
social
was
media.
something going on there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
even with the names as well. I think you said like, oh, like these names like Will and Valerie and whatever it was. You were like, oh, that sounds a bit like Siri or that kind of thing. I remember you saying
Yeah,
that.
like
So
usernames sort of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Names turned out to be quite important as well in this episode.
they did. Yeah,
As part of the whole twist.
yes, yeah.
Um, yeah. What did we think of
The
the
alphabet
bubble
thing.
stuff then?
Oh, the
Yeah.
whole thing. Um, I mean, I think the effect. I can't really fault the effects or anything. I thought, like there was that comment from Russell about how we sort of discussed doing this like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and the technology wasn't there yet. I think with how it was done here, yeah, like it looked great, and the only thing I think that I felt as I was watching it, it kind of felt a bit weird. Constantly cutting to like the shots of Lindy's point of view of the screens and everything, and how so much of it. I guess it's just part of the premise, doesn't it? In the format, it's like with something like Sleep No More, like the found footage thing or whatever, where you have a very different sort of perspective on the world than you would usually have in like a traditionally shot episode. But yeah, no, I liked it as an idea. I think for the most part, and because I think as people have been saying already, but because you can sort of read it in a variety of different ways with the bubble thing of it being like privilege, and within that different types of privilege, or being like living in your own world and not being aware of what's going on around you or all that kind of thing, and how that can be quite dangerous. Because I think going into it, I was a little bit cautious and thinking, oh, like is Russell gonna kind of get all this social media stuff? Is he gonna deliver something that actually we can look at and say, yeah, that's you've got a fair point there. But actually, I think the more I think about it, because it could be read in so many different ways, and there's so much, the commentary is so rich and kind of all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it was cool. We'll always remember it as like the one with the bubbles, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
title makes I thinking about all the alternative titles, I think that Dot and Bubble works the best, to be honest. Because there's
Yeah,
a
wasn't
lot.
it originally going to be called like IRL or something?
Yeah, and
IRL.
one that I liked, the other one was Monsters Everywhere, which at the time beforehand I really liked. I thought, oh, it's a shame we've not got that one as the title, but I thinking of it now, it's like actually that does kind of
Ooh.
work on another level, really, doesn't it?
I'd
Because
not thought of that until you said that, but it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
it does. Yeah, I was about to say, oh, it's very surface level, it doesn't really tell
Oh,
you,
that's
it
interesting.
literally,
That's
you know,
interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
because I mean, I think I've seen. I mean, a lot of the kind of opinion, the takes on this. Sorry, I've kind of absorbed from people, and people have had some fantastic takes on this episode, varying opinions, varying sides of the fandom. It's really interesting to see what people have come up with regards to this. But one I sort of heard recently was the whole, you have no idea. These people could be hiding in plain sight, and you've almost got no idea because you've got your bubbles and your shields up. The monsters literally are sat right next to you on your desk, just like they're
There we
sat next to
go.
Lindy, you know.
There we go.
So,
Yeah.
if anything, actually, Monsters Everywhere, that probably is quite a good title. All of them work very well. But yeah, I think Dot and Bubble is a very it works. And it's a very satisfying title to say as well. I like it.
Yeah, and because the phrase comes up, like I was saying in the episode itself, because she says it in those moments of peril and tension and stuff, it does kind of sum it up, I think, doesn't it? Although, it was one of those titles I think beforehand where you looked at it and you think, what the heck is this going to be about? Like, what is this a reference to? What's the dot? What's the bubble? What's it to do with? But yeah, definitely, I think it sums it up. Although, now you say that, actually, Monster Everywhere, I can see that now. I couldn't see that beforehand.
I wish it was called that now.
Oh, but we can call it that. Let's just call it that. Like Doctor Who magazine always used a different name for Edge of Destruction.
Our own system.
Inside the spaceship.
What did we think of the dots and the man traps? Like, that's kind of an element that wasn't explained so much, but I think people have got their own takes and readings, because the dots are the things that have become sentient and angry about these racist white people, and have how they connect to the man traps wasn't really explained. But are we to take it that the dots were responsible for bringing the man traps in, or what did we think?
Yeah, something like that. Either it created them or it let them in from the
outside
wild woodland or whatever it's called. Yeah, kind of let them in.
Because there was the whole thing the Doctor said of, like, the dots don't allow you to see them. Like, when people have got their bubbles up, they can't see these things that they're walking into.
Yes.
So maybe that's the thing. The dots are kind of deliberately trying to hide these things so that it's, you know. But then the bit when it suddenly decided to attack Lindy, it was sort of like, well, why, if you could do that, why haven't you just been doing this the whole time? I don't know.
Do we at ever point see the man traps move? They're always stationary, aren't they?
I think there's a few. It might be the odd shot when they're sort of slowly sludging along.
Yeah, they move very slowly if they do.
Very slowly.
They would do.
Well, I took that
I
as
can't think of
if
any.
to be. I don't know if the dot created them or if it was just a case of, like, these people become so ignorant of what's been going around them and so wrapped up in their own world that they let something as slow as slug creatures get them. Because they're absorbed in their own world.
Okay. Yeah.
Something that's slow
nice.
can get them. That's the way I took it. But,
Yeah, it was just and it was a great moment when the dot does attack, because you get that amazing shot when Ricky gets, done through the head, which is very, again, like we were saying, it's very mature and strong stuff for not tea time viewing anymore. It's midnight viewing, but it's still a pre-Watershed show. But anyway, it was a great moment, but it did make you think, hang on, if you could have done that, why have you not been doing this everywhere? I guess it's the whole thing of, maybe it's like, we can just slowly pick off these guys one by one. And then in Lindy's case, because she twigged, or well, someone else had, but because she knew the situation, it was like, well, there's no way that a man trap's going to get her now. We're just going to have to do it ourselves. Who knows? Again, it's a whole kind of reading into it. It's not like it, I mean, I don't think it takes away from it that we didn't find out, that element, because again, it's provoking.
I think the alphabet thing, I will say, that felt a bit random on first watch. Maybe now actually going back and thinking about it being the system, in quite sort of Kablam-esque way or whatever, and technology, and
it's a systematic thing,
hasn't it? Like in Boom as well, with the artificial intelligence and all that kind of stuff, the ambulances. I suppose if you read it in that way, okay, is it literally like a computer system working through the names the only way it knows how, like doing them in order, because there has to be some order. Yeah, maybe from that point, I could sort of see a bit more,
I heard a really good one from Matt Toffolo on the Review of Death, who said, if you're going with a social media angle, it would have been interesting to do subscriber count as like the way that these things are picking through them. They're going through the low numbers and hitting people like Ricky September as they get up top. But
But then again, that would be
But
very nosedive because that's like
yes, that's the thing, and also it wouldn't really tally
yeah.
with if you're doing that, then the angle at the end kind of wouldn't make as much sense because it would be. I think it does do a good balance between social media commentary and then turning it on its head and adding the whole race angle at the end. I think the whole if the social media thing had been a bit more, then it would have kind of felt like we'll do one or the other. Whereas I think it had a nice balance of both with where it sat really. So yeah, but I mean I did think if you were going to do it another way, that is quite an interesting way to look at it. Maybe there could have been a similar sort of thing, but again, it is literally right out of nosedive, isn't it? Really, it's the whole popularity contest. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know how else he would have done it really.
Mm.
It's just the way they made it a whole mystery. Um,
I think yeah, that was kind of it, wasn't it? There
I
had
think
to be
maybe that's why
something
people
to
reacted to
keep
it in the way.
you. Yeah, with the alphabet thing, there had to be some mystery, some way of getting to that end point without giving the game away too soon. There had to be something else, some kind of red herring
Yeah.
type thing, almost. I think, didn't there?
Now that I think about it as well, that I think with the alphabet thing, I think there has to be a reason why it hasn't got certain people because you'd think if the dot is sentient and can kill people, um, why didn't it kill Gothic Paul, or if that was his name, as soon as he started questioning it and saying, "Look, people are disappearing," you'd think it would just
Yeah,
silence him
yeah.
so that no one will ask questions. So I guess there has to be a sort of in-universe reason why it hasn't got people yet, and people can start to question it. And
But then there was an interesting thing of Ricky saying that he was saying, "Oh, I did videos on this, and they just kept getting taken down."
Mhm.
Which again is
Yeah,
is that the dots? Is that adding another element of commentary on the fact that people are getting censored for bringing up points of discussion, and people just don't want to talk about that stuff, so they get rid of it. A bit like
absolutely.
how I think the first time Gothic Paul says anything, Lindy just goes, "Oh, fun," and just
Yeah,
bats him away, and
Mm.
there you go. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of little layers and nuances that you pick up more the more times you watch it, I suppose.
yeah,
I do think people haven't given it enough credit for those things. I think surface level, yeah, of course it is very basic stuff, but there is a lot of other elements that kind of add up, and it has got a lot to say, which again is what like I was saying, I like that. I think that's what television should be doing, Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
But yeah, slugs.
I
I
mean,
was
shall we?
gonna slugs. I was gonna ask with Lindsay, how did you guys
Yeah.
feel about her character throughout? Because obviously she isn't that likable, and you've got all these microaggressions throughout the episode towards the Doctor. But did you sort of did you hate her from the start? Were you sort of rooting against her, or was it sort of like this is a person, despite her faults, who needs to be saved, and you sort of want her to get out? How did you feel about her as she's like our protagonist? How did you
Yeah,
feel about
that's the thing because it's a delicate thing in both the writing and the performance that even though this is a detestable character, as we sort of find out really at the end,
her?
and through it's not like her actions are saint-like until that point. She's not a
No,
a lovable character, but you've got to make that character captivating, like I was saying. So I didn't necessarily like hate her. I think there's a very specific moment though when all the audience turns, and it's before even the whole final scene. It's as soon as she says his surname is Coombs,
yeah,
it's just like you know,
yeah,
um, everyone. That's the one thing that everyone has said to me when they've said about the episode. They're like, "Oh God, that bit." I was just like, "Oh no, oh you
yeah,
horrible." So yeah, but I think up until that point, it's kind of like she must be redeemable. Like there's got to be a
mm,
reason why we're following this character because they're going to go on a journey and change.
yeah,
But that's something that Russell does very well. He writes flawed characters so well. I mean, look at the 10th Doctor. That's one of the reasons why I love the 10th Doctor is that he's not a perfect person. He treats Martha awfully, really, when you think about it. But it's Russell writing people who aren't perfect, and I think he does that very well in other shows as well as here. Trying to think of an example, like I'm sure there's people in It's a Sin and years who ultimately are just very flawed human beings.
Mm.
But when they're written well and performed well, you will just watch them no matter what. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's my roundabout way of answering that question.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that there's definitely an element as well of like Midnight or something like
Yeah,
uh Voyage of the Damned, where it's like sometimes you save perhaps the wrong people, and you know, are they worth saving if they turn out to be awful people? I think it's very that final scene was so good.
so
Um,
good. Yeah,
and I think you're right as well in terms of like, is she redeemable? You're sort of, I guess, waiting. Is there going to be that redemption at the end?
Mhm.
Is she going to be the one who saves the day at the end? Is there going to be no? It's just a reversal that she's an awful person, and
Yeah.
the Doctor and Ruby were sort of wasting their time.
And I
And
really
allowed something
love. I
horrible
think
to
one of the things
continue.
I've not seen talked about as much, obviously, people have kind of drawn to. I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but the moment that people are drawn to is the moment when Ncuti laughs and then screams, and it's a very
Yeah,
visceral moment. But
Hmm.
I love the look that he gives as he walks to the TARDIS door and he turns round, and you see the look in his eyes, and you think the Doctor has just, these people aren't worth saving.
yeah,
It's like it's a huge moment, and
Yeah.
it's a huge character moment, and it's kind of a shame that we won't get that addressed because
mhm.
I'm sure Rogue is just going to be let's go and do Bridgerton for a few episodes. For a few episodes, Christ, imagine. But yeah, so it's such a weighty moment in the Doctor's character that it would be really interesting to have seen that fallout of that. But nonetheless, it's
Definitely,
an incredible moment. Yeah.
definitely, and
Had
something as well.
anybody seen the
So,
rumors
oh,
about it beforehand? I just wanted to bring that into the conversation because I'd
I think
seen a rumor
I knew that there
about
was
what
a
the ending
moment at
was
the
going to
end.
be.
Oh,
Yeah, so
really?
there was
yeah, I knew
something
that was
going
going to be a big
around.
moment for Stevie, but didn't know.
Okay, no,
Yeah, no, I didn't know the context of
there
it.
was
Yeah.
something going around saying it was going to be something to do with racism. It didn't kind of go into detail, I don't think, but I had seen that beforehand, and so kind of in response to the point about Lindy and stuff, and kind of what I thought of her throughout the episode. I think I was sort of vaguely kind of expecting it to end up. I don't think I probably twigged. Oh, it's going to be her that is the really nasty person at the heart of all this. But I kind of had some idea where it was going if that rumor was true, which it was, and so yeah, I think like you guys were saying, the bit with Ricky September, that's where it becomes really palpable, and you kind of that's just that real atmosphere when she's gone through the door and she's going down the tunnel or down the ladder or whatever it is, and you just know there's going to be some sort of showdown like with her and
Yeah.
the Doctor. And yeah, at that point I was still sort of thinking, okay, like vaguely thinking, okay, there's going to be some race angle here. I guess I can sort of see where it's going, but also yeah, I don't know. I didn't know whether she was going to just get there immediately and the Doctor was somehow going to have found out what had happened with Ricky and just like not even give her the time of day and just literally say like you're a horrible person just there and then. So I like the way that was played actually. How he doesn't know and Ruby they don't know what's happened, and so him being the Doctor, he gives her that chance. He does the speech. He does the thing of come with me and all that kind of stuff. And even when she said the stuff as well, because that was what I think was really nice about that was it was the sort of thing of the Doctor as we've known him to be recently with this Doctor and kind of with Jodie as well a bit. And I suppose other Doctors as well in the past, but that idea of like this person that will give anybody a chance or that really wants to save people or kind of wants to be that shining light in the universe and is that shining light in the universe who can be that beacon of hope for everybody, and that frustration of not being able to help someone, and as people have said as well in response to like the kind of the way it highlights the stupidity of like discrimination as well
Yeah.
in different
Yeah.
forms. I thought the ways that was all played were really effective, because that's what it was, isn't it? It was his kind of frustration and that brilliant moment where you can like see the spittle kind of coming out of his mouth, kind of like a Rassilon style at End of Time.
I thought that as well. I was like,
yeah.
Timothy Dalton's been giving you acting tips.
Yeah. Giving him a run for his money. Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah,
it's such a clever use
season,
of it's such a clever use of race as well, because there's no other show where you could do that. You've got a character who has been white through. Well, I mean, Joe Martin's Doctor is a sort of separate thing, I would say, because
for as long as we've known him, for as long as we've known
the character, and that the character can remember as well.
Exactly.
They've been a white individual, and they've been used to just being in that situation and going, "Come with me," and everyone being like, "Absolutely, no question, save us, let's go." So to have a character like that who can swan in and be like, "I'm going to save you all," and someone turn around and go, "I'm not going to let you do that just because of the color of your skin." That in itself highlights how baffling the concepts of race is, that anyone else could do that and they'd be fine with it. And that's why Ncuti plays that so well, because he goes from that whole baffled thing to utter, anger and frustration to, fine, if that's how you want to be, then you live your lives.
I'll let you go off. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you say, Richard, that they didn't know about what happened to Ricky September. I bet they did. I think when the Doctor
they won't react in that sort of way of being like,
I think they knew what she did. I think they knew that she killed him.
Inside information.
That's how they play it. It looks like the subtext of it.
Yeah, they look. Yeah, but also, I don't know about you guys, but when Ricky turned up, I was thinking, because I hadn't seen the leaks or anything like that, I didn't know how it was going to end. I thought it was going to turn out that Ricky was bad and that he was going to screw Lindy over in some way.
Okay.
I had no idea it was going to be her that was going to turn out to be like the bad one in this. I thought he was going to turn out to be evil. So I completely did not see his death coming. But he was also sort of like, in terms of the formula of the structure of the episode, you've got like surrogate companions in like the specials and stuff. But in this Doctor Light episode, he almost became the surrogate doctor towards the end.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And yet the same whole thing of like, she instantly trusts him. There's no question.
Yeah.
And yet, when as soon as the Doctor, our Doctor appears, she'll just be like, "No, go away." So again, highlighting that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there is the whole other level of discussion of, obviously this is a white man writing this, and it's being directed by a white man. There's no people of color in the writing team this series. So one would argue, when Russell says, look at the cast, there was no, it was all white people in this colony, and you kind of go, well, it's all white people writing the series, and and I 100% think, when you've got your first black doctor, like a mainstream doctor, to kind of not maybe have a black voice for an episode like this talking about these kind of issues was perhaps the optics of that. I can totally understand that, that it doesn't look great. So yeah, I can totally see where people are coming from. Obviously, being a white person myself as well, it's not my place to say, and I can, I have to just listen to those people's opinions, because it's a different perspective. So yeah, but it is an interesting thing to think about, how this is a white man writing this. But I think nonetheless, it's still a valid message. It's not like we're being given a point of like, racism's not that bad. It's like, no, very definitively, this is not a good thing, and it is bad. So either way, it's provoked a discussion. So whilst I think that's great, I think I can totally understand why some people might think the optics of that.
Can I actually have? I know you're going to say I'm going off one, but can I just have another dig at the logo here? Right. On my
The
TV
logo.
that I've got.
All right. Okay.
Oh, the
The-
new title sequence logo.
Oh,
Right. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
No, it's the green stencil they're using in the marketing at the moment,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
on iPlayer and things.
Yeah.
On
In the
my
trailers,
TV that I've got in my house at uni, basically, I think it's like one of those Chrome USB cast things we've got.
Yeah.
And on like the title page, you've got like a load of TV shows and new things that are coming out, and they've got these big logos of all of these massive titles. And the Doctor Who one, because the diamond logo is so specific, you've got these massive long words, and then the Doctor Who diamond is like tiny in the corner. It completely gets lost. Oh, it's so infuriating. They need to change that logo. I really don't like it. But
I
anyway.
did think that they would change it after the anniversary, to be honest, because it was so
Mhm.
specific to that in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for
Yeah.
it though. It's like I just can't abandon it. It's too
But
it's too sweet.
if you're
It's too
if you're going
nice.
to like hark back to a more retro version of the logo, use the Pertwee McGann one. Because
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
no.
one that I would say is the definitive Doctor Who logo. When I think of Doctor Who logos,
It's
that's
like the
sort of
legacy
first one
Doctor Who logo, isn't
it's
it?
the
It's
legacy one, and it works stacks and it works in one line.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
adaptable. But,
It's nice and chunky.
anyway,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't know, but it's like the diamond logo feels like it's like that old. It's like, oh, I know you're flawed, but I do love you, and I don't want to be mean to you.
But
I
Yeah.
like
you
I just I
you look at the RTD1 logo, and that was so bright and bold, and you could spot it across a room as a kid. This
yeah
new logo is so tiny, you can't even see it on a TV screen.
yeah.
It,
I,
yeah,
I,
in
to-
terms
Jo-
of
I totally agree. I
the
totally agree,
brand,
Josh. I totally
yeah.
agree.
Sorry, I'm not like blaming you
It just
guys.
it just feels like it's like a dog. It's like a dog on its like last legs, and it feels like I don't want to say that it should be put down, but I know it really should.
Yeah.
It's like oh. Anyway,
Anyway,
don't know
Rogue next
how
week.
that happened.
Rogue
Yeah.
is not Captain Jack. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I
No,
think
it's
I'm
not.
pretty certain on that.
It's not.
Here's my prediction. Everyone was going on about Dot and Bubble and how they were like, oh, this one looks like the one I won't enjoy. I'm going to be honest. I think Rogue is looking like the
Oh,
one
really?
that it's not going to do it for
Yeah.
me. I'm
Interesting.
willing to be. I'd look. I can't even speak. I'm I'm ready to be made to think otherwise. I'm so tired.
Not the
So
only one.
yeah. So yeah. But I don't know. There's just bits of it that there was a
Oh,
clip
that's
that was shared on the
interesting. That's
podcast between two of the
Is that the one
supporting
where
characters.
the blokes are outside kind of
Yeah,
talking
and I was just
about
like, I know what you're going for, but
yeah.
it just isn't my thing. But again, that's out of context. Just like the Dot and Bubble
There
stuff
have been
was
a
for
few
some
clips
people. Just
actually released. There was one where I think just today where Ruby is talking to the Duchess, Indira Varma's character.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's one of those same gents that comes in and
I
talks
think
to
so,
them.
yeah.
And she says something about cheese and stilts. I'd have to go
She
back
says
and
something
check.
about
I think it's
tearing
kind
him
of
a new
playing
one,
around
which
with
I liked.
the language, isn't it? And that it kind of very Jane Austen sort of style to the dialogue and everything. It's kind of very much play into that. And Bridgerton, I suppose, as well, which I haven't seen myself. Have you guys seen Bridgerton at all?
No,
Well,
I was
no.
gonna say, I don't know.
I've seen
I
a
don't
little bit
want
actually.
to
but not
have a
loads.
go at the marketing again, but it really annoys me how literally that's the clip they keep using. Oh, to say
Yeah.
Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Keep seeing it over and over again.
It's gonna go one of two ways, I think. It's like it's either very surface level and this just is a Bridgerton pastiche episode with aliens and that's kind of it. Or we're talking Fugitive of the Jadoon situation where that is literally just set dressing. We've only seen the clips of those
Yeah.
bits, and it's actually going to turn out to be very pivotal to what's going to come next, because this has got that whole pre-finale syndrome of like stories like Fear Her. I mean, I know it's a terrible story anyway, but it's like you're just waiting for the finale at that point. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to get through this episode so that we can get to the big climax of the series. So whether Rogue will play into that, then it will be a bit more kind of like more linked to the finale than we anticipate. Maybe that's a good prediction to have. Maybe this is going to be more window
I think
dressing that we've just been given, and then
Yeah.
some twists.
who knows?
Do you think there's going to be some kind of romance between the Doctor and Rogue?
That's what they've kind of been hinting
by
at
this
in the
point,
clips, isn't it?
it's been so strongly hinted and speculated that it will almost be surprising if that doesn't happen. I mean, there's certainly going to be some kind of chemistry between them, and some kind of thing
outrageous flirting either way. Like the flirting in that clip was just off the charts.
Him kind of betraying the Doctor, and kind of them kind of constantly kind of playing with each other, and the trust thing. I can kind of see that happening. He pulls out a gun, doesn't he? And then maybe he comes good in the end, or something like that. I hope he gets established as like a new regular character who could kind of return every now and then. I think that'd be quite nice to have.
I like Jonathan Groff as well. I've seen him in other things, and I am a fan of him. So it would be really nice if that were possible. Who knows? Maybe he stuck around for some of the season 2 filming. We don't know, but maybe. Or we can get him on a scanner screen while he's Michigan film in LA and just pop him over. He could be in a bubble. He could be in a bubble.
To Dawson Bubble 2.
Yeah.
Dawson Bubble 2. Well, there we go. Any final thoughts, ratings? Well, yeah. Return to Find Time. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Find Time. The Sandmen have invaded. Then we get both.
Also,
both stories.
Also, one thing I've just remembered about one of the clips from Rogue is that just indicates how Bridgerton they're going with this. There is a violin version of is it Bad Guy by Billie Eilish?
Yeah.
And that's what Bridgerton do, right? Like I think their first episode has like Toxic or something being played on violins and stuff, so which kind of disconnects it with the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So already we kind of know they are literally not only in the text are they saying it, they're literally doing it.
It's rather than the historical period sort of being the thing. It's more like a kind of we're not in the historical period so much, we're more in the genre, we're more in this world of all the tropes and all the. Yeah. It's in dialogue, with other depictions of that period on screen rather than just being a depiction of that period.
It feels a bit like Spyfall doing James Bond, how it was very surface level,
very much so.
This is the typical Bond. This is the stereotypical Bond stuff. It's like
things.
So who knows? That just literally occurred to me.
Are they doing a homage to Bridgerton, or if they're doing a cover of a Billie Eilish song in Regency era England? Is it really Regency era England?
That's okay. Okay. This guy's got it. This is that's the one.
I hadn't thought of that. I wouldn't.
That's why there's aliens.
I'd be inclined to agree if it wasn't for the fact that we've already in this season had a historical episode which played fast and loose with stuff like that and singing and dancing and zebra crossings that come to life. But
true.
But it's sort of like
maybe
it's all. Are you thinking like
it's all just part of it? I don't know.
Are you thinking like in a Voyage of the Damned type way of like it initially looks like the Titanic, but it's actually a spaceship full of aliens? Is that what you kind of suggesting?
Well, it looks like this is Regency.
It's been restaged almost.
We're somewhere else. This is like maybe to look like Regency era England.
That'd be quite fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Maybe they're literally the aliens staging Bridgerton because they quite enjoyed binging it on Netflix. And they're like,
it's a massive
let's do that. Maybe that's why it's so kind of like those two men were kind of so stiff and or I mean maybe it's just the performances. I don't know.
You know what? I think you're on something with the Voyage of the Damned, because if the story is meant to be like surrounding a party, then Voyage of the Damned it's like we're modeled after one of the best ships in Earth's history. They'd probably be like, okay, look at the best parties in Earth's history. It's Regency era, so we're gonna have a party and make it really
Yeah,
maybe
because there was the whole bit
about a wedding in the trailer. That's my prediction. The aliens are doing a wedding. They've chosen to make it Regency era themed. That's my prediction.
Yeah, good. That's a good prediction. That
is that Indira
of it was Indira what her character was doing that whole wedding bit in the trailer.
Yes, and her bird gallop. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's already that thing going on, isn't there, with the that was quite unexpected, wasn't it? That final.
It was
final
very. It was a very after the whole sort of the Doctor being racially
wedding!
abused, and then suddenly cut to wedding, Richardson. Whoa! It was like, oh my god,
that'll be interesting. So we've got these
big
shapeshifters, haven't we? So I guess maybe the thing where like everybody, well, probably not even with a Disney budget this would happen, but something where like more of the people are bird creatures than we realise. Maybe the whole room is just bird creatures.
I think it's the whole room. The amount we've seen, I reckon. Yeah,
maybe.
There's more to this than meets the eye, I think. I hope. Yeah. I really hope, because as much as not a pure historical, but as much as a historical is nice, I think that there needs to be something else to this. There has to be. Am I going to eat my words? I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting.
But my bet is it's going to be some sort of fugitive situation where it's kind of going to do a 180 halfway through and turn into something completely different and with much higher stakes than we first assumed. I don't know.
You know what? I was kind of with you, Miles, in that I wasn't that excited about Rogue being a sort of Bridgerton episode. But now the idea of it not actually being a Bridgerton episode is making me excited for it.
Yeah. Which is kind of making me think, don't get too excited for like it being something else, because if it is just that, then I'm going to be disappointed. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We talked about Rogue probably more than we talked about Dot and Bubble.
I think we're onto something though. I can totally see it be like a Mummy on the Orient Express moment where
that's exactly it. That's the same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Voyage of the Damned, Mummy on the Orient Express kind of thing, historical setting, but pooled with alien birds. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
We shall see. We shall see, eh? Well, there we go. Dot Bubble, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We will be back next week for Rogue, and then for a wedding after that. For a wedding. We'll all we'll shake our heads and then turn into bird people and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, thank you all. Does one of you want to? Because Pete has been doing the outros for the past 2 videos. So.
Have you done one yet, Josh?
Josh hasn't done one. No, do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Okay. Yeah.
Put you in the spot.
You put me on. Yeah.
I know.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you later. Enjoy Rogue. Bye-bye.
Enjoy Rogue.
Let's go to a wedding.
A wedding.
A wedding.